The now ruined Chapel of the Charnel was the former Charnel house of Bury St Edmonds Abbey. It was built from rubble flint with stone dressings in the late 13th century by John of Northwold. Now roofless, the walls both inside and outside are covered with memorial tablets, mostly dating from the first half of the 14th century. The Charnel house stood in the Abbey cemetery. The main purpose of this Charnel chapel was to house disturbed or disinterred human bones, which often stacked up along the interior walls in huge numbers. Disturbed human bones are often referred to as charnel. Charnel chapels were built in medieval England at some churches and abbeys like the one here at Bury St Edmonds. The bones that were stored here were bones that were disturbed while digging new graves. The chapels were generally well lit and accessible. It is thought that locals would come here to pray for the souls of the dead while among their physical remains. Upon looking round this bone chapel, there are various memorials scattered on the floor and on the walls of this bone chapel. They make for interesting reading. In 1839, Henry Cockton wrote The Life and Adventures of Valentine Fox the Ventriloquist, a series about Valentine Fox, who teaches himself ventriloquism after seeing a performer in a local tavern. Then he uses his skills to create mayhem and mischief. Sadly, Cockton's writings were never financially successful. He returned to Bury St Edmonds to run the public house, the Seven Stars, which was owned by his mother-in-law. When he died on the 26th of June 1853, his widow had to request financial assistance from the Royal Literary Fund. 4 days later, he was buried in an unmarked grave in the town churchyard of Bury St Edmonds. In 1884, some admirers raised a tablet in his memory on the wall of the Abbey's ruined Charnel house in the town churchyard. Bartholomew Gosnold led the first recorded European expedition to Cape Cod. He is considered by Preservation Virginia to be the prime mover of the colonisation of Virginia. His wife, Mary Golding's father, originated from Bury St Edmonds. It is not known where Gosnold is buried, but they believe it may be in Jamestown. His family are interred in the graveyard here in the vicinity of the Bone Chapel. On their deaths, many abbots were interred in stone coffins within the chapter house. There they would remain until New Year's Day in 1903, when they were exhumed and their skeletons were shown to the townsfolk. Although the abbots' bodies were all reburied, their coffins are still visible today. Stone coffins were used in medieval times and are called sarcophagus. Sarcophagus comes from the Greek words meaning flesh-eating. It was called as such because the limestone it was made from was thought to fast-track decomposition. The limestone was thought to have some sort of chemical in it. When the corpses were placed inside and sealed, that chemical mixes with the cadaver's flesh and is thought to speed up decomposition. This headstone reads, "A young maiden of this town, born of Roman Catholic parents and virtuously brought up, who being in the act of prayer, repeating her vespers, was instantaneously killed by a flash of lightning, August the 16th, 1786, aged just 9 years."